let's do something a bit more fun. So let's do something like a cat as an architect using a drawing board. And if I go to my filters here, let's say if I want it more like art, and if I want, okay, so we're going to see what this generates for us. Fantasy, if we do science fiction, there we go, this is quite cute. All these different cats as architects.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Dev here, and today we've got an exciting video. We are going to be looking at Adobe Firefly. I know that a few videos have been out recently on this. My one's a bit late, but I've just got the license for this. The main reason why I'm excited to show you this is because Adobe's taken an ethical AI approach, and it's actually different from some of the other apps such as Dalle and Midjourney. The main one is the fact that you've got a few different motifs such as text to image, which is what Midjourney does, text effects, which is really cool, and Recolor Vectors. So like I said, the main reason why I'm excited to show this to you guys is because they're using something known as ethical AI, or how I see it as ethical AI. For those of you that don't know quickly, Midjourney and Dalle and a few other images, these are trained on a bunch of images that are throughout the internet. It's even trained on copyright material, and sometimes specifically on material that artists have said, hey, I don't want this to be used on AI, but they're using it anyway for whatever reason, whether it's too complicated to remove it or just in case they believe they can. Adobe's approach is that they've trained it on a bunch of stock images or artist approved images. So they've, like I said, it's more ethical for AI to use this and generate outputs. People are more happy with it. They kind of respect how designers use their work. Of course, it's Adobe. They know who their clients are. And in general, it's a different type of AI app because it's more intuitive in terms of the user design of it, you know, the UX. Instead of it being word soupy like Midjourney, where you have to do loads of different parameters as text, make it a bit technical. This one's almost like you write what you want and then you give it a few filters, and you can play about with stuff with different sliders or filters. In general, I'm very excited to try this out. One thing to note is that if you guys want to try it out yourself, you need to have an Adobe account. It's currently free right now because it's in the beta. One thing to note though is that they kind of release a license, as in they're rolling it out. So you will probably get it, but it takes some time. So it's not something you're going to be able to access immediately. And yeah, if you guys do enjoy this video, I'd appreciate it if you can leave a like, and let's get into it.
The first one I'm going to look at is text to image. So if I click on generate here, this is essentially what Midjourney does. One thing that I like about Adobe's version is that they've made the UI a lot more simpler. Midjourney, when it comes to generating images, it's a lot like word soup. You have to be a bit technical with the words you use, whereas Adobe have taken more of like an app style approach. So here on this page, you can see stuff that people have generated. So this one, like a flower made of galaxy star underwater, digital, all these different things, and you'll even see the prompts that they use. You can click on it, try their prompt, or you can get or you can generate one straight away. So for this example here, if I click on it, let's say if I want to start off by saying something like a futuristic cityscape in an isometric view, right? I just want to see what this is going to look like. If I hit generate for the first time, you can see we have more options here, but I'm going to touch on that in a bit. Let's just see what we get. Okay, so we have a few of these images here. Some of them are nice. If we want to download it, all you have to do is hover over it, and then you can hit download. And you can see when you start downloading it, if you get it on your screen here, which I'm going to do, 1 second. There we go. You can see it's actually called Firefly, and then it's actually put our prompt in, and then it's letting you know that this was generated from Firefly and including the prompt that you have below, right? If I go back here, we can also have more options that we can use to tweak our results. So like I said, this is a lot more user-friendly than Midjourney. So here we can choose the aspect ratio, the content type, so if we want it more like a photo or a graphic or art, and then here are all the stuff for prompts. So for example, let's say if I wanted this to be more like a steampunky or a synthwave, science fiction, maybe psychedelic and cyberpunk, I can click on all of these and you can see all these styles are being added here. They're almost like tags. Whereas in Midjourney, you'd actually have to type and put all of these in order here. So you'd have to write steampunk. This way it's a lot more user-friendly, a lot more intuitive. Themes, I can do something like concept art, maybe make it hyper-realistic. And there's all these other stuff like techniques. Say if you want it to be, I don't know, have bold lines or like a doodle. There's effects here in case you want it, you know, in case you want different effects. If I want isometric for the camera angle, I mean, it's doing it right now, but it doesn't hurt to add it. Same thing if I go to concept. So let's say if I want something here to be simple or chaotic, I think chaotic works. And then color and tone. So here, if I want it to be vibrant color, I can choose that. Lighting, I can let me choose something like dramatic lighting, and composition, I'm going to choose shot from above. And now when I hit generate, you can see I get something completely different. Some of these are actually really cool. And let's say, for example, that if I like one of these images, well, all I can do is just click on it, and then you can see this thing here that says options. You can either use this as a reference image, submit it to the gallery, or copy it to your clipboard. Or equally so, say if I want this one, if I just hit show similar, it's going to regenerate this, but say, hey, I actually want you to use this one as the base. Can you make the other ones more like this one, right? And for example, let's say if I wanted this image, if I use this image and if I hit use reference image, you can see I've got a reference image for this to use on the next prompt. So say if I change all of this completely, let's say if I want all of this, if I just take away some of these tags here, let's say if I make it something like minimalism, steampunk, there we go. Let's say if I do something that's black and white, I'm essentially, if I go over here as well, if I click on this here, you can see if I click on it again, we can slide it saying how much do we want it more like our reference image, or how much do we want it like this prompt that I've got down here. So here you're able to change your results and see which balance is right for you. Say if I want to focus a bit more on my prompt, but I still want to use my reference image that I have, if I go here and if I hit, and as you can see it's generating right here, if I hit generate again, here you can see we've got this image that we've generated that we liked, but it's using a lot more of these filters that we have here. So here it's got dramatic lighting, shot from above, but obviously you can see the black and white filter on, and more of a steampunk vibe. All right. And in case you don't want to build an example, let's do something, I don't know, a bit more, let me just clear the styles. Let's do something a bit more fun. So let's do something like a cat as an architect using a drawing board. And if I go to my filters here, let's say if I want it more like art, and if I want, okay, so we're going to see what this generates for us. Fantasy, if we do science fiction, there we go, this is quite cute. All these different cats as architects. Color and tone, let's say if you want it, if you choose none, it's not going to obviously give it no color. It's just saying it can vary quite a bit. So here, let's give it a warm tone. Let's give it studio lighting, and let's give it a close-up, right? And if I go here and let's say if I want something, if we go to styles here and if we hit all, let's say if I want it more like concept art and hyper realistic, if I hit generate, here you can see we've got a bit more of a kind of painting, or it's a bit more of a realistic result that we had before. But here we can see a cat. But here we can see a cat as an architect, right? And one thing to note is that because Adobe Firefly is trained on a series of stock images they have, think of the best way to do this is that Adobe Firefly can't, in my experience, be as creative as Midjourney because it has less stuff that it's trained on. So imagine if you want to think of loads of different stock images that you'd see on Google, and if you want to combine them together, that's what's going to give you the best results. And this is what gives you the more reliable results, I feel. And same thing here, if we want to generate something a bit more artsy, let's say if I generate something like a series of traditional houses, there we go, on one street, and I'm going to use a comma, and I've got a prompt here on my side. Let me just do something like facade study and sunny weather. And instead of it being hyper realistic, if I go back here and let's say if I make it so it's something like minimalism, let's say we want it to be vector look, cartoon, low poly, digital art, and let's say if you want it to be isometric, there we go. And over here, let's do vibrant colors, right? So if I go colors, let's do vibrant and generate. And here you can see we've got a completely different style of art that we've done, but this is the power of all these filters that we have. It was really easy to change, but here we've got a complete different image. And these are good source references for you guys to use. You can base this off your art, you can trace over it, you can even download it. Like I said, this one here is my favorite, so if I go show similar, you'll see what's going to happen here. All of these are going to show similar results, or use this as the base image, right? There we go, you can see even the background or the colors have matched the same way. So yeah, this is the text to image feature. Let's look at another one. So now we're going to be looking at text effects. This one's quite cool. So as you can see, all you have to do is write your text here and then the prompt that you want. So for example, this one's done twisted driftwood, a chain link on the L. So here, for example, if I write water, and if I write on my text here, clean, or if I write clear blue ocean, with bubbles, right? If I hit generate here, you can see as we generate it that we've got the sample effects here, but we can see how well we want our effects to fit to the text, a bit of the font, and we can even choose what we want our background color to be like, right? So here you can see it's generating, and then we have these few options. And one thing that I really like about this is the text effect fit. So say if I wanted these bubbles to be more contained within the text, I choose something like tight. Or say if I wanted it to be a bit more loose, so the bubbles kind of escaping the text, I choose something like loose here. There we go. And here you can see the bubbles are going out, including on the edges here. Same thing as these generate. You can see it's getting a lot more loose, but it's quite a nice effect, right? And you can do this with so much stuff. So if I write cloud here, or even, let's do another one. Let's do architecture. And you can see it's still going to generate that if I want to change my text, right? You can see it's going to generate here. If I write architectural facades, sunny weather, cityscape, modern, and if I write generate here, let's see what's going to happen. You can see here that we have all of these letters being filled up with buildings, right? And the fact that it's the fact that I wrote cityscape is choosing a large scale of these buildings, and all this is quite cool. So like I said, if I want something more type, there we go. If I hit that, here we can see everything's a bit more constrained to the text. Okay, and another prompt that I wanted to try was desert. So if I write here sand, dune, and then maybe say animal bones, animal bones, and sun. So if I go here, okay, so here you can see it's wrote the word desert in architecture, but if you hit generate, because it had our old prompt, here you go, we can see the word desert, and it's got, obviously this is like a very scarce desert because that's what that was based on my prompt. In general, I see this having a lot of use just for like concept typography. I mean, I know the fonts here are a bit limited, but if you click on view all, you've got this here. But in general, I think it's good, especially for say something like YouTube thumbnails, or even just posters, like just practicing typography and effects before you dedicate to it. And if you want to see what it looks like in different backgrounds, if I go here, let's say if I want this background color to be yellow, that's cool. But let's say, for example, if I wrote the word here desserts instead of desert, right? If here I wrote ice cream, cakes, sundae, and if I wrote spoon, if I hit generate here again, watch what happens. You can see we've got the word desserts, right? Which is amazing, as in all is so cool. But let's say, for example, if I want my primary color to be blue, if I go to my text color here and I hit blue, here you can see it's made the primary color or a lot more of the design on this blue thing, right? So and if I go loose here we can see this looks great. We've got the blue part here, but also all of these parts sticking out. I think these are candles and all these dessert sticks. So yeah, the texture effects part is pretty cool. Right? Like I said, I can see this being used in thumbnails a lot, or just concept design for typography. Let's go back to the last feature now, which is Recolor Vectors. Okay, so the last one that we have is Recolor Vectors. I'm going to be totally honest on this part. I wouldn't actually use this in my like daily workflow. But again, so here you can either upload your own SVG, you can export it from Illustrator, but here you can see we have the same vector file, and here we can see the color palette that's used, and also how it would look like. I'll be honest, to me it seems like this would be something pretty easy to do in Illustrator, but I guess it's quite cool just to see what immediate colors will look like. So here, if you want something like split complementary, there you go. Say if you wanted your primary color to be green, you got that as well. So I guess this can do it as well. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really the biggest fan of this prompt. So if we went to another one, this one, yeah, I mean here we can just see the colors are being changed. Like I said, there's something I feel like Illustrator could do quite easily, but maybe this is just something you want to see what a different color palette will look like, right? If you go here, so yeah, this is Adobe Firefly. In general, I think right now the fact that it's free because it's in a beta, and the fact that if you've got an Adobe account you get it for free, like I said, sign up soon as you can, because you're not going to get it immediately. It's like they're going to give it out over a period of time. But like I said, as you go down here, if we go down, we can see these are stuff that's going to come soon as well. So these are the only 3 features that have been released recently. Afterwards we're going to have stuff such as extend image, 3D to image, text pattern, sketch to image, all these different stuff. So text template. Overall, I'm actually really pleased with Adobe's approach to this. I like the fact that they're using something that's more ethical when it comes to AI. So instead of apps like Midjourney or Any other ones that just take stuff off the internet, I mean, that is a massive problem. And the fact that their user interface is a lot more, better for users. It's not like WordSoup where you have to combine loads of different words. That's quite technical. This one's more of saying something like Instagram or whatever you use, kind of like what creators use. You're just applying different filters to see what you want. It's a lot more of a visual process. I feel like people are going to appreciate that a lot more. Let me know if you guys are going to use Adobe Firefly in your projects and what you're actually going to use them for. In general, that's it for this video. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like. And that's it. Take care, guys. Cheers.